Rifle season has come and gone here in Missouri, and hopefully you saw a whole lot of bucks chasing does, sparring, and all that awesome activity that comes along with the rut. But based on all the Facebook posts and tweets that I saw, there are plenty of hunters out there who are disappointed and saw absolutely nothing and have no idea why. Well, in this video, we're going to go over 5 reasons why you aren't seeing any bucks. Hopefully, these tips can help you adjust your hunting strategy so you can finish out the season strong. And the first reason you aren't seeing any bucks is that you're hunting in woods that are just too wide open. Have you ever been to a state park or something like that where you could see 100 yards in any direction? Well, if you can see that far, then deer can definitely see a lot farther than that. And while that state park effect is pretty to look at, it is a biological desert under that closed canopy. There is little to no food for those deer and definitely no cover for those deer to hide in. If you own the property and you're not managing it for future timber harvests, consider having it logged. Just tell them you want to keep 2 to 3 mature trees per acre, and that should keep them from, clear cutting it. Really make sure you give direction to the loggers. You could also consult a forestry professional or your conservation, your natural resources, and make sure that you're setting it up for the goals you want to achieve. The benefit to doing this is that you're going to open up the canopy and you're going to let some sunlight hit the forest floor. This will allow some new growth to generate. Also tell them to leave the tops where they cut them. Typically what they'll do if you don't give them any kind of direction is they'll pile them up. They'll either leave them there or they'll burn them or they might chip them. It just kind of depends on the loggers. But if you leave the tops, that's going to leave some cover down on a deer's level. Now after the logging, you want to come back with a prescribed fire. Make sure you're properly trained and you have enough help to keep this fire contained. But what the fire is going to do is going to clear all the leaf litter, all the small branches, and it's going to really let that light hit the forest floor. Make sure it has contact with the ground, and you will have a flush of new growth come the next spring. Now, if you're a public land hunter or you don't have, maybe you lease it and you don't have permission to do any kind of habitat work, the solution to this problem is extremely simple. Just find another spot to hunt. If you can find a spot where this wide open canopy, this state park effect, mature hardwoods areas meets up with a thicker area, maybe there's a lot of cedars, a lot of underbrush, maybe it was clear cut, 3 or 4 years ago, that would be a good spot to set up. Deer are creatures of edge, and that going from thick cover to wide open can be a great spot to hunt. And the second reason you're not seeing any bucks is there's no quality bedding anywhere nearby. If there isn't any good places for bucks and does to bed, they're going to go somewhere else, to somebody else's property, to find it. When you're hunting for bucks, it is very important to know where the does are bedding. During the rut, these bucks are going to be cruising these areas looking for hot does. If you're hunting on public land, you need to make sure that you know where the good bedding areas are. And if you're on private land and you're worried you don't have any quality bedding areas, you can pretty easily make these areas with some strategic hinge cutting and some prescribed fire. And the third reason you are not seeing any bucks is that you're only hunting big food plots and fields. Big destination food plots and fields are great places to hunt if you're hunting in areas where there's low hunting pressure. If you're hunting where there's even a moderate amount of hunting pressure, deer probably aren't going to feel comfortable going out in those big wide open fields and food plots until well after dark. What you want to do is focus your efforts on hunting the trails leading to and from those big destination food plots. Another option is to create small hidey hole food plots that deer are going to feel more comfortable coming out into during daylight hours. And the fourth reason that you're not seeing any bucks is you're not paying attention to your entry and exit routes. If you're not paying attention to how you're getting to and from your stands, you're probably blowing out more deer than you could even imagine. It is just as important how you get to and from your stand as it is where you hang it. Think about how you can quickly and quietly access this stand before you set it up. The number of deer you see will go up dramatically. Always pay attention to where your scent is blowing. Don't walk through open fields if you can avoid it, and never walk through bedding areas. And the fifth reason you're not seeing any bucks is you're hunting the same spots over and over and over. You can very easily wear out a hunting spot if you repeatedly hunt it time and time again. Deer can pattern you just as easily as you can pattern them, especially if you're hunting in stands when the conditions aren't right. Hunt stands only when the wind is right and you know you're not going to be bumping a bunch of deer. If they see you coming in or you bump them too many times, they'll know to avoid these areas during daylight hours. And then you're going to be left with a bunch of awesome trail camera photos and videos of some awesome bucks only at night. So that was only 5 reasons why you're not seeing any bucks. There is, an infinite number of reasons why you're not seeing any bucks. So if you have any experience to share, leave those down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video, share it if you found it helpful, and make sure that you are subscribed so you can stay informed.